Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. I'm Angelica Corral with What in the World Events. And we have Charles Hamm with Ponder on It Pilgrims, his book that he has out. But today we're talking about pondering on life. Correct, my friend?
That's right.
And
It's a good subject.
yeah, because that's what we're living. We're living the life.
Yeah.
So I'm so honored and happy to have you here. Thank you
Well,
for joining us,
the honor's
and
mine.
we're looking forward to the movie that we'll be making soon.
Oh, oh,
But we'll talk more about that later. So,
okay. Okay.
life choices, right? How do you make important decisions in life? Because I know when we're younger, sometimes we don't think about how a decision can affect us later on in life, right?
Yes. Very
So
correct.
I think what do you think it's important to look at when you're making those important life decisions?
When we're young or just anytime. I think my decision making process is something that I really talk a lot about. I actually I mean I try to live the things that I've said. And I go back to one of the first golden question. If I'm faced with an important decision that would have repercussions one way or the other on me and on others, and most of the decisions that we make uh, affect others,
Hmm.
and
You're right.
I try to I think about it and all the different people involved that might be influenced one way or the other.
Hmm.
But I always go back to my first golden question. I ask myself, what would a wise person do?
Hmm.
Now, I don't claim to be wise. I'm 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 essentially uh, trying to tap into the universe and get some information about what would be the wise thing to do. And I found that when you start thinking like this, your whole thought process changes,
Hmm.
and there will be there will be something come to me that is obvious to me that this is the best answer. This
Hmm.
would be the thing to do. And as we've talked before, uh, what's kind of amusing is that at times you ask for what the wise solution would be, and then you get your answer, and you don't want to do that. You,
Hmm.
you're thinking, no, no, yeah, I mean that might be best, but and you start thinking of mitigating circumstances, and you have to stop yourself and ask, why am I not? What's my problem here
Hmm.
that I don't want to do what I think would be the wisest thing to do,
Yeah.
and
Sometimes what we want isn't always what we need, right?
that's exactly right. That's exactly right, and you have to learn to see through that sort of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
But I,
Definitely.
I'll ask that question, and it's served me well.
That's great. That's that's great. So, in regards to personal development, because you've developed yourself a lot because you have written your book,
Hmm.
right? You've appeared on many shows. Uh, we've done quite a few audio rooms together.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you've developed yourself. How do you think? how is it that you've improved yourself, and also in having healthy relationships, right? Because I'm sure you and your wife have a wonderful relationship,
Hmm.
and that comes from the decisions that you make.
Yes. What you decide to do and say quite often is
Mhm,
I I have tried to focus on myself. Uh, I spend probably 2.5 to 3 hours every morning
mhm,
before anybody else gets up and the dog needs walked, uh, to just have quiet time
mm,
and think about myself and the way I feel that morning. And uh, the self improvement to me has been looking at myself as a whole person, body, soul, and spirit. And I've tried to take care of my body.
mhm.
I'm soon. I'll be 78 in March, and I'm still kicking and not taking any medication, and feel great.
That's
Uh,
great.
age to some degree seems irrelevant. I'm not a 19-year-old Marine anymore, but
Mhm,
I'm still very active and in good shape. And I try to eat right. That's part of it, and get exercise. But uh, I also I try to just I want to be I want to understand who I am
mhm.
and know myself and try to be the best me I can be. And that involves things that are uh, in kind of my own code. The uh, things like love, joy, and peace, and patience, and kindness, goodness, forgiveness, gentleness, self control. Uh, those things are in my mind, and I try to live that way and interact with people in a non-judgmental way. I say what I think, and I mean what I say, but
Mhm.
I'm never confrontational about it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince someone that I'm right and you're wrong. Uh,
Mhm.
I just tell them what I think, and if they think something else, that's just fine. There's
Mhm.
no way in the world we're gonna agree with each other all the time.
Mhm.
Uh, and if you think it, it's not even possible to think that way. And with like in my marriage, we've been married 56 years, and
Congratulations.
yeah, you you
Wow,
it'll be
that's an
57.
accomplishment.
It'll be 57 in February, and it's been it's been like most marriages. We've had good times and bad times and hard times, and the the thing that I think is most important is to have a long marriage. Uh, People used to ask me about it, and I would tell them that the secret is to stay out of the house. Get get up every morning and get dressed and put your boots on and get
Mhm.
out of the house. Stay
Well,
gone all day, you know.
that is funny. We have a few comments, and I saw, one in regards to the wife, and it says here, "Lesson, the wife is always right." That's a LinkedIn user.
That's true. Uh, I learned early on how what buttons she had that I could push if I felt a little ornery. And
Mhm.
I realized, all the things that might upset her, and
Mhm.
decided, when I come in the end of the day, uh, don't start pushing those buttons.
Yes.
Just try to get along. And
Absolutely.
we've always had we talk a lot.
Mhm.
We've always uh, kept a conversation going when we're together, and just talk about any and everything.
Mhm.
And I think that what a lot of people miss is if you get married when you're
Mhm.
22 years old, like we did,
Mm.
when you've been married.
I hear you. You having problems with the sound?
Well, I had a message
Oh.
just popped up there. But what people don't seem to realize
Uh-huh.
is that when you're 30, you're not the same person that
Mm.
you was when you were 22.
Indeed.
And when you're 40, you surely aren't the same person that you were when you're 22. So you have
Absolutely.
these two kids getting married and they're 22 years old, and they
Mhm.
think that they're going to ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. And as the years go by, you suddenly realize this person that I married's not the same person. you she's different. She's changed,
Mhm.
and in different ways. And the same thing's true of me. And you have to grow. You have to understand that and grow with it.
Mhm.
And to make the my point in the extreme, uh, we're both 77 years old now, and we
Mhm.
are not the same people that we were when we were 22. But we stayed together, and there were times. It used to be when people got married, they took a vow,
Mhm.
and you're standing there with the butterflies at the altar and all excited about getting married, but you took a vow to live with this person for the rest of your life and make a life together, and for better or for worse.
Mhm.
And I took that seriously. It was like an oath that I took.
That's
Now,
wonderful.
I sometimes get in trouble when I say that, because I know that a lot of people have marriages that don't work out, and
Mhm.
and and they get divorced, and that there are good reasons uh, for that. I feel like any man that ever slaps his wife, if she don't pack up and leave and never go back, is making a big mistake. If they would do it once, they would do it again.
Mhm.
And you just have to respect each other and like each other, and accept each other as they are.
Mhm.
And that that to me, uh, my simple answer is the key to staying married for 56 years is just stay together, and and and
Yes.
and live through it and work through it. And it's incredibly naive to think that you could live in the same house with another human being for 56 years and never have a problem.
Mhm.
It's inconceivable to even think that way. But that's that's how I feel about things. But
That's
like
where
I
the
say,
patience comes in.
I say what I think, and you can take it for what you think it's worth. That's the way I am. I don't try to convince anybody that I'm right and they're wrong, or they should be like me instead of them. That's the last thing I would do. But
Mhm.
that is my answer to how me and Miss Kathy have stayed together for 56 years.
That's
It,
that's awesome. Yeah. And I think, like you mentioned, patience, kindness,
Yeah.
gentleness, self control, all of those things, forgiveness is a big one too.
Oh
All of
yes.
those things
Oh yeah.
combined are what made that a success for you. So that's awesome.
And you have to work at these things. They're contrary to our basic fallen human nature.
Mhm.
You have to want to be the kind of person that you would like everybody else to be.
Mhm. So I think you just answered the other question I was going to ask, which is how do you make that relationship thrive? But I think you pretty much answered it. You talked with
Yeah, we've always communicated and been respectful of one another.
there
Uh,
you go.
if I
That's huge. Respect is very
well,
huge.
without any ever discussing this, both of us have done it. If I'm gone before I leave the house, I tell her I'm leaving
Mhm.
and where I'm going
Yes.
and about what time I should be home.
Mhm.
And I never just walk out the door and get in my truck and drive off, and her standing there looking out the window wondering where I'm going. I never
Mhm.
never never did that. I always told her where I was going and about when I'd be back.
You know
And
what
if
I
I
like about that? Can I
yeah,
interject something
of
real quick?
course, of course.
What I like about that, because I think a lot of young ones, they get upset with their parents when their parents communicate with and let me know where you're at and all those different things when you're coming back, things like that, because it's a safety thing as well,
It
because
it it
if you
is.
know where they're at, then you know where to go and how to communicate with them if something happens. So that's the beauty of communication. It's not to be
Right.
controlling, it's to be safe, right?
It's safe and it's respectful. And
Exactly.
and if I'm gonna be gone longer than I told her I was gonna be, uh, once I realize that, I'll call her
Yes.
and I'll say, I told you I was gonna be home at 2 o'clock, but it looks like it's gonna be 3 or 4 now. And that way
Mhm.
she's not worried about me and sh it puts her mind at ease. Uh,
Yes.
and she does the same thing, and we've never we just it's just the way we have been. We were laughing one time
Mhm.
that no one has ever said a word about this, but when the mail comes,
Mhm.
if it has her name on the envelope, I don't care if it's the electric bill or what it is, I know what it is. I never open up anything that has her name on it, and she will not open anything up that comes to me. And it when I noticed and happened to think about that's the way we both were. We talked about it and laughed, and it's just another way of kind of respecting each other's turf, I guess. Uh, I hardly get any mail at the house except maybe something about Alzheimer's or since I've gotten old, seems like and where I could buy some cemetery plots and burial insurance. That's the kind of stuff I get in the mail. She takes care of all the bills and runs the house. I mean, it's her house. And another thing I think that I realized early on, and a lot of this I got from just observing my mom and dad, but the, this is her house, and that's just the way I look at it.
Mhm.
And I don't make a lot of suggestions about any changes that might be made or where our pictures hung. I've seen men that were real picky, about every little thing inside the house. and I've never been that way with her. I just kind of, this is your world here. This is where you live all day long, and you fix it up the way you want to. But I think uh, love, respect. Uh, you're dealing with another human being here, and treat her like I'd like to be treated, and it it's possible. People people used to divorce has become much more common in my life.
Mhm.
Back when I remember mom and dad lived married till daddy died.
Mhm.
My grandma and grandpa uh, got married young and grew old together,
Mhm.
and it goes way back. And I don't know of a divorce ever being in the family
Mm.
on either side. But I tell young people, if you're thinking about marrying someone, uh, you know, it's important that you make a good decision.
Yes.
And I wouldn't. I know all this now, and I never thought about it when I married Kathy. But I think it's important to just date and get to know each other to
Mhm.
and really get to know them.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them angry?
Yes.
How do they act when they get mad?
Mhm.
Uh, if they're like that, these are things you need to know because they can become major issues. And both of you need to be happy and have a peaceful, quiet, loving home together.
Mhm. Yes, I totally agree with you. And what you mentioned about respecting in the mail, um, and seeing the name there. Well, I have bad vision, so I mistakenly opened my son's mail. He said, "Really, mom? It says Max Corral."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Son, I'm sorry. I didn't have my glasses on." But, it happens sometimes, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
we don't, uh, we don't do these things on purpose. But,
No.
absolutely, though, it's out of respect that I love hearing about the relationship that you have, and I think that
Well,
that's a important thing. Yeah.
it's little things, that uh, respecting someone's space.
Yes.
Uh, you know, uh, if she wants to, I don't watch a whole lot of television. She watches a lot more than I do. And if she's in there watching a TV show and I don't want to sit in there, I'll come back here, uh,
Mhm.
go back in the bedroom, play with the cat or something. I mean, I it all goes back to just treating each other like you'd like to be treated, and being kind and respectful, to and considerate,
Yes.
to the other person. And we don't see eye to eye on certain things. And if she says something I don't agree with, I just let her talk. I don't try to argue her down to come to my point of view. I'll just let, and she knows when I disagree with her because I don't say anything. She she still needs to work on that a little bit on that point right there. I might mention that to her sometime.
Mm. So, um, you're 77 years old, and
Yes, ma'am.
you blossomed into this person that has discovered that you have these certain passions in life.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
how did you discover those passions? Like, I know one of them was writing the book, and I know you're gonna be writing another one,
Right.
right?
Yes, ma'am. I have uh, 13 more Texas grit sayings to add to my manuscript, and it'll be ready to go. At
Awesome.
least the initial manuscript. I I was sitting on my cabin porch one day. I loved to sit on the porch and rock and
Mhm.
watch the hummingbirds and the critters that come up by to visit with me. And very
Mhm.
quiet place, way out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
And I was just reflecting back over my life, and I realized that I still had issues that I'd been carrying around with me for 50 years
Mhm.
and had never resolved. And I I just as I looked over my past, I didn't want to live in the past, but I wanted to I wanted to review where I'd been and how I got here. And I started dealing with some old issues that I'd always just kept quiet about
Mhm.
and uh, carried myself. And I I wanted I'd retired
Mhm.
and I wasn't really thinking in terms of what I would do, but I was looking around at what was going on today
Mhm.
and in our country and really in the world. And I it struck me that everybody seemed to be mad.
Mhm.
Nobody seemed happy. Uh, everybody, whether it was political issues or social issues or
Mhm.
cultural issues, nobody was happy. And I thought, well, I'm not mad, you know, and I started talking about, you know, letting your whole life be completely preoccupied with things that you're powerless to do anything about.
Mhm.
And I wrote an article about that and put it on LinkedIn. I started writing what I thought just my thought felt like I had something to say.
Mhm.
And as I've told this story before, uh, I started building up a following, and they started encouraging me to write a book. And so the next thing you know, I wrote a book,
Mhm.
and then just things started happening, and it's been the most humbling experience of my life. I never dreamed that. Well, just for instance, I'd be sitting here talking to you on a podcast with people listening in. I couldn't have imagined all of that, and lots going on, and it appears that there's going to be a lot of other things going on. Uh, but my my basic uh, feeling about it all is to just let it happen. Whatever is to be will be. But it seems like I've started a whole new life at my age, and I'm having the time of my life, and enjoy uh, hearing that maybe something that I said was helpful to someone else.
Mhm.
That's a really good feeling. I get a lot of comments on LinkedIn, sometimes in the comments section of a something I've posted, but I get a lot of direct messages from people that will tell me that something I said just really was something they needed to hear.
That's
And
awesome.
well, I mean, you know, how do you respond to that? It I just thank them, you know, and but that's the joy of my life right now. And I think since I've become kind of a word merchant with with a book and speaking and you know being out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I heard that you did a
yeah.
you were at a conference with Jose this a couple of days ago. and
Yes,
you were
ma'am.
one of the speakers, so
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, uh, I like to think that, uh, it's in some ways making a difference. Whether it'll
Mhm.
make a huge difference or not, I don't know. But if it helps a few people out once in a while, then I take great joy in that.
That's awesome. I think when it's a good feeling to be able to help another person, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. It is. To encourage them or make the whole thing with Texas Grit. That'll be the title of my second book. Everything that I said or say in Texas Grit,
Mhm.
it means something more than the obvious.
Mhm.
And the intent is for people to start to ponder on it. Like I always say,
Mhm. Mhm.
stop and think about what I said. If I say never try to give a bobcat a belly rub if he doesn't want one, well, what did I mean? I mean, uh,
You know what I get from that? I what I gather from that is some people don't want to hear or want to be reasoned with, right? Even though you might have something of that's beneficial to them, but you got to realize when a person doesn't want to hear it. Otherwise, they're gonna be the bobcat and give you a bite.
well,
But I don't know if that's what you mean, but
well,
that's
what
what I get.
what I mean is uh, what I mean. But
Mhm,
where did your mind go when you read this? Again,
mhm,
look beyond the obvious. If I said
mhm.
never corner something meaner than you are, that's another one of my Texas grit sayings. Where where
I like it
where where does your mind go? I never try to tell. If someone asks me what I mean, I say, well, it's for you to decide what this means to you, or
Yes,
I spoil the whole thing. So
yes, I love it
yeah, I never I want them to think critically and see beyond the obvious. Uh, one of
because
them
it
that
could
I
mean something different for everybody
it
else, right?
it absolutely, and sometimes people will comment on something and their mind went somewhere that mine hadn't gone when I wrote it,
Uh-huh.
but it had the effect of getting them to think
Mhm,
and interpreting it for what it meant to them.
mhm.
Uh, I could well, like I say, I have nearly 365 of these things now. I could start giving them, but that was the whole point. Uh,
That you could do a calendar,
well,
365
I
days in a year.
there's significance in there being 365, and ever I've heard that over and over about a calendar, and
Uh-huh,
but I'm going to put it in a book form
uh-huh.
somehow, where like people might read one a day,
Mhm.
and it give them something to think about the rest of the day. Uh,
Yes.
one of them that kind of strikes a chord is. Don't ask somebody to do something and then treat them like they haven't got sense enough to do it. Uh, when I put that up on LinkedIn, there were some people wrote me and bosses and executives and companies, people with people under them, and
Mhm.
and that punched them right in the gut. And you know, and they said, I just, I just never thought about it that way before. Uh, and
That was a combination punch.
yeah, yeah. Uh, never reprimand someone for showing you respect.
Mhm, mhm,
That's another one. There's
mhm.
not that much going around nowadays. Well, I'm full of them. I could go on forever. But
I love
these
them.
Yeah, these started out as dad's sayings, And I
Mhm.
didn't even realize that my kids were picking up on things that I would say.
Mhm.
And on my 50th uh, birthday, I had a big party and a whole bunch of old friends. I hadn't seen some of them since high school. They
Mhm.
found people, big party. And one of the things that they did that got the biggest laugh was Dad's top 10 sayings.
Wow.
And it was surprising to me because I hadn't really thought about it that much. And then when I wrote the book, I started, well, long story, Dad's sayings became Grandpa's sayings. And
Mhm.
then with the book, it turned into Texas Grit. And,
Mhm.
and so that's the story behind all of this. I've just always had a way of just saying some silly thing in certain circumstances that would just kind of I blurt out of my mouth, and
Mhm.
I didn't realize that people were getting a chuckle out of it.
It's truly inspiring. So speaking of grit, Texas grit, that is,
Mm.
uh, what can you say about effective ways to deal with setbacks and challenges in life?
Well, I think the first thing that you have to know that on this pilgrimage we're all on, walking down this road of life,
Mhm.
that it's inconceivable to even think that there wouldn't be such times.
Mhm.
And how you deal with them is to understand that make good decisions through the process until this plays itself out. Don't make it worse, and don't imagine it to be more than it really is.
Mhm.
Uh, if you lose your job, it is not the end of the world.
Mhm.
And maybe you have to get a little older and have had this happen to you several times before you realize there's always a pattern to it. Uh, Things come and go. There's ups
Mhm.
and downs, and just understanding that, and uh, a lot of it is in your mind. Deal with it proactively. Don't start worrying about things. Uh,
Mhm.
and a lot of people, there's things that worry is projecting yourself out into the future and assuming the worst.
Mhm.
And why not project yourself out into the future and assume the best?
Yeah.
That worry is totally counterproductive to anything,
You
and
know.
just roll along with life and
Mhm.
enjoy it,
Mhm.
and know that in the bad times when you've made horrible decisions, uh, the bad decisions are the ones that teach you the best lessons.
Mhm.
That's where you really learn a lesson, and make sure you learn it well. That I mean that I I tell people I try to be what I call imperturbable,
Mhm.
and just take things in stride and
Mhm.
not get upset. Things that you consider a horrible crisis today,
Mhm.
6 months from now, you'll be sitting and telling the story and laughing about it.
Exactly.
Learn to laugh sooner.
Mhm.
Learn to laugh when it happens. Realizing, you know, I'm gonna have a good story to tell here about
I love
whatever
it.
it was. Yeah, I mean, it's just how you look at things.
And you know what you mentioned too, sometimes we're anxious, right? My grandmother used to tell me, "You're anxious over something that may never even happen. So you
Yes,
just wasted your time being anxious, and then it never
absolutely.
happens, the thing you're
You
anxious about."
you imagine the worst, and it
Mhm.
hardly ever happens.
Mhm.
And I've been in situations in my life where, uh, you know, tough tough situations,
Uh-huh.
and the principles were always the same. Stay calm, as Mr. Jose says, stay focused.
Mhm.
I, s- I s- you know, I always just said stay calm and keep your wits about you. Keep your head screwed on straight. Uh, don't do things, you know, that are counterproductive to yourself and to others. And uh, life is a journey, and there's going to be some rivers to cross, and some mountains to climb. But uh, when you're climbing the mountain, take take some time to look around and enjoy the view. It's beautiful up there, uh, and
Absolutely.
it's never as bad as what it seems. And life is precious, and
Mhm.
just enjoy life. Just enjoy life. Uh,
Every
and
single day. That's
yeah.
why I'm enjoying my time here with you, my friend.
Well, I feel the same way. You're a delightful lady, and I appreciate the opportunities you've given me to ramble about how I think about things. It's been fun.
Yeah. So, I know you're a balanced individual. How do you find balance in your life? I see that you take your dog out for a walk in the morning, and
Hmm.
you one of the things that you do that you mentioned is you think about how you could be a better person. That's awesome.
Yeah, you you have to understand yourself and realize that you're not perfect, and no one else is either.
Mhm.
But we tend to be able to focus on the faults of others, but we tend to, we have mitigating circumstances for all of
Mm.
ours,
Yes.
and just be real.
Mhm.
Figure out who you really are, and some people, I they're hiding from themselves. They're running from themselves,
Mhm.
and come to grips with who you are, and try to be the kind of person, as I said, that you would like for everybody else to be. You
Mhm.
would want people to be tolerant and patient and respectful of you, and kind and nice. So be that kind of person.
I like that. You're the type of person that I would like to, before I speak at a meeting, share what I'm gonna say so that I could say the right thing. Because sometimes
Well,
we don't realize how what we say might sound, you know what I mean? And,
uh-huh.
I think it's always nice to have that friend that you feel like, that could play the devil's advocate to see, how it sounds, how it looks like from another point of view, so I love that.
Yeah. I I've reached a point where I don't I would, if I was speaking before a joint session of Congress up in Washington D.C., I'd say the same things I'm saying now, and and,
That's awesome.
I'd say it the way I say it. Uh, you know, when I speak, I think there, at least to me,
Mhm.
uh, just speak from your heart. Just
Yes.
have something to say, and I do very little preparation for a speech.
You just tell it like it is.
It just I get up there, and I start talking,
Mm. Mhm.
and I'll have a subject, but I try to just, whatever I say, and sometimes when I get through, I think about something that I wish I'd said, and then
Mhm.
I think, well, that wasn't meant to be said. You
Mhm.
know, it's over now. It is what it is,
Mhm.
and you usually have a certain amount of time, but just let let people feel your heart,
Mhm.
and them know that there's a sincerity about you, that you have something you want to talk to them about, something to
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
Try to
There
keep
you
it
go.
short. Yeah, keep it short. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't. Uh, I've spoken for an hour before, and but the general rule is 20 or 25 minutes. It's probably time for you to sit down and shut up. Uh, they've had enough, you know.
Mhm. 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 Keep it short and sweet, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So how have you set realistic goals for yourself? And how do you stay motivated so that you can, accomplish them?
Well, when I determined to do something, well, like start a business, for
Mhm.
instance. Uh, I mean, you have to have a goal. You have to have something to shoot for.
Mhm.
But I always went into a new situation with the mindset that failure is not an option.
Mhm.
It is just not an option.
Mhm.
Do what has to be done to be successful in whatever you're trying to do. And then goals fit into that mindset by giving you direction
Mhm.
about what you're going to actually do.
Mhm.
But I've never thought about failing.
Mhm.
I've never allowed myself to think in terms of, well, I might fail. Now, have I ever failed? Yes, I have. But
Mhm.
but that's when it's just, you know, knocked me upside the head, and I realize, you're whipped here, boy, and you're going to have to think about what you're going to do next.
Mhm.
Uh, but so much of it is in your mind, and what motivates me is, well, in business,
Mhm.
I realized that for the business to be successful, we had to make some money. But one of the things that motivated me was creating a job,
Mhm.
uh, that if I had done something where I'd gotten to a point where I needed some help, and I was going to have to pay somebody to come in and help me out, I always had a really good feeling about having done that, created a job for someone where they could make some money and raise their kids and have a good thing, and uh, tried to be uh, tried to be a good boss, but uh, recognizing that, if we don't do what we're supposed to do, the business is going to fail and you're going to lose your job. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like going through Marine Corps boot camp. You don't realize until they give you the globe and anchor to pin on your collar, that the drill instructors they were for you the whole time.
Mhm.
They were always on your side. Their job was to make you a Marine, But
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
my personality, the way I am, I just employees. I just tell them what look, boys and girls, this is what we got to do today, and you
Mhm.
do this, and you do that, and everybody respects the job, and we just get things done. And I might come by and suggest something else, and uh, sometimes they'd argue with me. They think, and often it's not. I'd give in. I think, well, you might be right. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
it's about getting the job done,
Mhm.
and not about who's calling the shots. I always looked
Mhm.
at it like that.
So what that's awesome. I think when we can we give them a buy-in, right? Employees when
Hmm.
we listen to what they have to say, right? So I think that that's a wise thing, Mr. Ham. So what does success mean to you?
Uh, it means being happy and healthy, and a loving wife and great kids and great bunch of cookie bandits and uh, uh, a dog that seems to like me and a cat that can take or leave me. Uh, that keeps me humble. Um, I
What is your dog's name and what is your cat's name?
well, the dog's named Bella,
Okay.
and the cat's Leo,
Mhm.
and Leo's he's a piece of work. He loves to get his head rubbed,
Mhm.
but he'll let you know when he wants it rubbed. It's kind of like giving the belly rub to the bobcat. Don't
Mhm.
go over and start. He'll come to you when he wants his head rubbed. If you go to him and think, I mean, he'll scratch your face off.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm joking, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't he'll let you know what he needs, and but I think we lose sight. We're so preoccupied with material things and money, and these are basic needs, but
Mhm.
they don't define my life. I've made some money and I got a little change in my pocket, but uh, I don't think about it, and
Mhm.
we'll jump at an opportunity to help the kids out, or you know, just just uh, the simplest, most basic things are what's truly important, and just to be to love yourself. Uh,
Mhm.
that that's not vain. I mean, the scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself.
Mhm.
Well, the assumption was you have a high opinion of yourself, and you want to treat him and feel that way about him. And
Yes.
if you don't, and your head's all messed up, and you're just wandering adrift in life, you're not really much value to anyone else until you become a better person.
Yes. Yes, and you can't be happy, right?
No,
And you
no,
and
no,
what you said that success is being happy. So, speaking of
no.
happiness, what are some keys to living a happy and fulfilling life?
Well, happiness is a state of mind, and I think it's just it's a question of understanding what's important,
Mhm.
uh, being being content.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, Contentment is a form of happiness, and don't allow things that really aren't that important to
Mhm.
rob you of joy and contentment.
Mhm.
Uh, I from things I've read, some of the people that have made the great fortunes in industry and in different ways, they're not necessarily happy people.
Mhm.
Their whole life has been the pursuit of success, monetary success,
Mhm.
and you know, you can have the big car and a good paying job or own a big company, but when you go home at night, if there isn't peace in the home, you're
Mhm.
I mean, what do you really have? And I
Yes.
one of my Texas grit sayings, and uh, I bump right on the edge of this without trying to sound preachy because I mean I'm a man of faith and I don't make any qualms about that. But you know, just just try to the Texas grit saying is the things that are truly relevant in life are eternally relevant. And I live my life realizing that my time here on earth is only going to be a certain period of time, and there's a certain reality that starts setting in on you when you're 77 that you didn't think much about when you were 30. Uh, but you know, in 10 more years, I'm going to be going on 87 or 88, and I don't know what that my days will be, but uh, you want to have a sense of hope and a sense of peace with the fact that you're going to die,
Mhm.
and that nobody knows when they're going to die. When I was a younger man, I saw the sweet chariot come swinging in several times, but it wasn't coming for me.
And that's a good thing because we
Well,
wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, we got a
Yeah.
few people in the room.
Okay,
Can we
let's
shout them out?
let's talk to him.
Sharito came in and she says, "Wow, that is what we call respect in the real sense of the word, Charles."
Uh,
And she says,
uh,
"Hi, Cambria, dear. So glad to know you are here, my friend." Nancy, she's came in and brought in her smiles. Nancy O'Neill. And Charito says, "I cannot stop admiring you both, my friends, Charles and Angelica, on stage. Thank you."
thank you, thank you,
And then
thank you.
Charito says, "Oh, my soul sister Nancy O'Neill. Wow. You are here too, my dear. What a place to be." And Chris from I Film Heroes, he said, "Hey." So hey, back to you, Chris. So it's nice. We had a few people come in and say,
Oh yeah.
"Oh, Charito, thanks so much. You're beautiful too, my friend." And then you got the message, "Good evening, Mr. Charles. Let's ponder."
Oh
So
right, right. That's a
we
good thing to do.
we definitely pondered tonight, and it's getting close to the closing time, and I'm just having so much fun. We have to continue this one. We got to continue.
Well, I'll come and talk to you anytime you want me to. I enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Charles. Do you have any last words to the audience about? Oh, let's share your book so that they can know where to go.
Okay. My book is Ponder on It, Pilgrims, and you can most folks buy it on Amazon. It's available in other places, but Barnes and Noble has it, Walmart, and
Wow.
Target, and some of these other places. But it's a three-time number one international bestseller,
Congratulations.
and it's sold in 16 different countries now.
Nah, wow.
And
Is it in
and
Spanish?
it's not it hasn't been translated into other languages, but English, I've sold a lot of them in Europe. You know, people,
Wow.
uh, English speakers all over Europe, and the book's been popular over there. You can look at my website, charleshamm.com, and there's all kinds of stuff that's up on my website. I've had people taking care of this for me, and it seems like every day I see something that has been added to it, and they're doing a magnificent job.
You know,
So,
Charles, you can
uh,
also put in the comment section of this event, you could
mhm.
put all that information so that people could know where to ponder on it, Pilgrim.
Okay, right, right, right. I have a TV show and a radio show, but you'll learn all that on the website.
And soon he'll
And
be having a movie because my sister loves westerns.
I don't know what part I thought about it when you said that, and I thought, well, you know, maybe any movie would have a place for some old man sitting on a park bench, and you go when the other people go walking by or be out mending a fence somewhere in the country, and you see me over there in the distance. I don't know
Mhm, mhm.
what part I would play. Uh, I've never made a movie before. Never had anyone ask me till now.
It would be a lot of fun. We gotta have
It
Jose
would.
in there too.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Ah, we gotta get a script together, so I'm really excited about that. So, more things to look forward to.
I'll take the opportunities as they come.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all your successes
Thank you
and
very much.
your happiness and in making a positive difference in the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Means a lot.
Well, you're totally welcome. So with that, we close this segment of the program and we look forward to seeing you again and have a wonderful evening and don't forget to ponder on it, pilgrims, right?
Yes. And I love y'all. I always say
Y-
that too.
Yes, I love that. Love you guys and thank you so much for being here. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful evening.
You too. Bye
And
bye.
love you too, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, somebody said hold my beer. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Tell Charles to hold my beer. Sorry, he left already. Oh, that's funny. Have a good evening.